Hi and welcome everyone to Hazara World. As usual, Naeem Sarari and my co-host Mehdi Sina have brought you another special guest from City of Greater Dandenong, the candidate for Cleland Ward, Solange Ardiles. Solange, thank you for your time. Thank you for accepting our request and welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here today.
It's absolutely an honor to have you. So in this podcast, we would know more about Solange and why she is candidate, why she's running for council. We will straight away dive into the questions. I'll ask Mehdi, my co-host, to start off with his question.
Okay, thank you, Naeem. Welcome, Solange. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. So apologies if I mispronounce your name. Let's start with the question. Tell us more about yourself, about your career, about your education, and about your past experience, please.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you so much. So my career started, like most people, I did retail when I was growing up and going through uni. I also did hospitality, and then I had a dream to work with the police. So I actually did a Bachelor of Social Sciences, majoring in criminal justice. And that was fantastic because it was working on different social issues, whether it was psychology or the way that societies worked together, where deviance came about. We did things like drug studies, terrorism. It was all encompassing in terms of understanding why things happen in our communities. And then from that, I actually got a really lovely opportunity to work in job services. So that was through the Centrelink program with people that receive government assistance. And so I worked with the Salvation Army Employment Plus for a few years, and that was one of the best learning processes I've had because I was quite young. I was able to work with different people and their challenges to find employment, whether it was a lack of education, because they had mental health issues, because they had drug and alcohol problems or domestic violence. I was exposed to those kinds of issues very early on in my career, which really set me up. So from there, I went into the police, and I was with the police for 6 years in a couple of different positions. And you can imagine the police was amazing. Absolutely loved it. It was my dream to work there. I was so lucky for the opportunity. And I was there for 6 years. So, I had a couple of different roles in there. Towards the end, I was a business manager, and that's what brought me to do my master's in business. So I have a master's in business, an MBA with Monash Business School. And that really was to cover myself. I had the social stuff, and then I really wanted to have the business understanding. Why did things work the way they were? And I think that those two are very complementary when working in these kinds of roles where you're presenting communities. You do have to have empathy and understanding of how people operate, but also understanding on how businesses operate, how the environment operate, and what are all the different elements involved in how society functions. So that's me. I'm now a manager for a not-for-profit. And I like to give back to the community, which is what brings me to putting myself up there as a candidate.
That's very beautiful. Thank you for that information. And that was a very diverse background: retail, police, a lot of very, very diverse. I can't imagine that you've gone through all that, but that's a great insight, great experience. How long have you been living in Dandenong for, Solange?
So we've been living in Dandenong for 2 years. But I actually went to high school in Dandenong. So I graduated from St. John's Regional College. I'm the class of 2006. So we migrated to the area. We actually lived in Westall first when I arrived from Chile with my parents 30 years ago. So we've always been around Dandenong and had a lot of activities in Dandenong, whether it was through school or through the Chilean community. I used to do folk dancing, so I'm very well known in those kinds of circles. That's why I do have a lot of passion for getting the community together, working together, different activities started, because they're the memories I had when I was growing up here.
Interesting. I really loved the way you said you came from Chile, and like because Dandenong is such a multicultural place, and like people from all over the world, like you can find them and you can meet them, and it is quite a friendly place, I should say. And at the same time, and to me, one question is like, why do you want to be a counselor like in Dandenong?
Look, to me, it's about giving back. So I did miss a bit of my career cover off, but one of the things I do in my spare time is actually social impact work. So I mentor migrant women and people that are trying to get back into the workforce here, and that ties into my time when I was working in job services. I also mentor businesses because I started my own consultancy a couple of years ago, and that's just around helping startups understand the different dynamics in the market. So the reason why I think a counsellor really fits in is because this particular area is so diverse. It needs a lot of help to really be able to meet the needs for the entire community. And I believe that I've got that skill set and the passion to do it. So I'm very much about helping people and giving back where I can. I feel like I am one of those people that was fortunate enough that my parents did the migration for me, and then I got all of the benefits of that. So when I do, you know, like you said, it's very multicultural here, and I absolutely love that. It's so unique and it's so much opportunity in that. So when I meet people and, you know, they want to get to something, they've got a goal or they've got an aspiration, but they don't know how to do it, I want to be the person to help them get there. And so I try to apply that not just with individuals, but also with businesses and with communities. And that's why when I had the idea to run for council, it just made a lot of sense. So yeah, I just think I've got the tenacity and I've got the passion to help out, and that's where it should start. So I am very happy to say that I am an independent candidate because I just want to get the job done. I think that's what it's all about. It's about being responsive to what people need and working with people to build the solutions around what needs to happen together, rather than coming in imposing any particular methods to solve a problem.
Perfect. That is amazing, the sense that you have got to give something back to the community, the society that has given you the opportunity to achieve whatever you wanted to achieve in life. And now it's time that you actually felt that this is a good time to give something back to the community. That's absolutely amazing. And I think the leadership should be like that. Anyways, that was a very good insight. And we know that there is two other candidates from your ward, the ward that you've actually running for the candidacy there, the Cleland ward. What is so special that we have too many candidates for that ward?
Yeah, so there's 7 of us.
Wow.
Yeah, 7 of us. And look, I think there's a few of them I know that live in the area, which is fabulous. I think anyone that wants to give back with their time to the community, I absolutely am all for that. I think a lot of people do unfortunately fall into a culture of apathy, and you know, they, rather than do anything about it, they just maybe sit back and think there's no better way of doing things. So I'm very happy that there's so many people competing for the top role in the Cleland ward. I think, you know, good competition is healthy competition. But, you know, one of the other things is that the Cleland ward it needs a lot of help. There's a lot of social issues in the Cleland ward and all of really Dandenong and the southeast, just in regards to, you know, lack of access to jobs, lack of access to communications and connectedness. There's domestic violence issues in the area as well, and a lot of antisocial behaviour. So I think I have read some of my opponents' profiles, and you know, we've got the right idea. We've got something to give back. We've got experience working with hardship, and I think they've got a very similar goal, and it's just to give back, which is wonderful. So I welcome it.
Okay, nice. Yeah, I think that's good. Like you have a very good knowledge of like this Dandenong area, especially like Cleland ward, which you are competing. And then I really like that you are like educating yourself about your opponent, like, and then you're reading about them and like how to compete with them at the same time. Tell me more about your future. What are you going to do with this ward? Like, what's your future plan for this ward? Like, what are you going to do basically for these people, for this the resident of like Cleland area?
Yeah, look, I think at the start, I want to meet people in person again, like most people.
Yep.
So yeah, I miss it. And then, you know, Zoom chats are fantastic. Thank God we've got technology now, not like back in the day with the other pandemics that hit the world where no one could talk to anyone that was too far away. But I think it's talking. I am a talker. I like to get to know people, understand what their experience has been, how they felt, and what they think they need. So that's my first goal, and I understand that that could be a little bit general, but I think that's where it has to start. There has to be better cemented, you know, communications and relationships between counsellors and a broader amount of the constituents, because there are very often very similar people coming back to feed information into council, which is fantastic. But from my perspective, when I talk to a lot of these groups, a lot of them don't have an avenue, and I want to be that avenue. I want to get to know what the problems are on a broader level, and then bring that back into council to see how we can work together. But the three main real things that I want to achieve as well is, you know, to get us feeling safer in our community as well. I know that there's a lot of issues around antisocial behaviour and crime, but I'm not a person that believes in deterring. So I want to build that together. I think that there could be better services offered, and for people to really work together to help people out. People are struggling, and we're going through something that's traumatic for anyone. We've never been in this situation for the last 100 years, and it's really changed the way that we function socially. So that's where I think it's, you know, part of it is, yes, there are issues that were already there, but you have to think that those are now exacerbated issues, and we have to work together to get everyone to recover from it. So that's what I want to do first. And the other part is really be a little bit more inclusive. So I've been fortunate enough to have relationships with a few different groups in the area, and really all of Victoria, because of the work that I've done in the past. And what I've found is that there are still too many minority groups that don't understand the process to get their voice heard in council. And I want to be part of that change. So one of my goals is actually to refresh some of the council websites to make them more inclusive in different languages, so that more people can feel access is there for them, for jobs, for skills, for education, because I think that's the most important part, to get people to feel empowered to change their lives. And lastly, it's respect. So I do work on a board for a not-for-profit that helps women and children fleeing domestic violence. I'm very passionate about that. I think it's very important. I think, unfortunately, our area, and when I say our area, it's inclusive of Dandenong, Casey and Cardinia. Our area has the worst stats for domestic violence. And I'm very much of the mindset that it starts with respect, and that respect could really help us take away some of the prejudice and bias that we have, as well as help out with the antisocial behaviour and these more serious issues of domestic violence.
Okay, one more. I really like your future plan for the city of Greater Dandenong, but one thing I really loved it, like because you want to update the like the information, or like the website, which gonna make more inclusive. And based on that, I know like there is some language barrier between communities, as you pointed out, like minor communities. There is some minor communities, like they are like struggling to communicate their like cultural differences, or like their how I should say, like they can't pass their message to like to the council at Dandenong. At the same time, like Dandenong council is not having like some sort of like transparent like translator, something like that, to send the message to them towards like in language. Is there any chance that you're gonna focus on that as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the most important part. And that's why I'm not sure if you followed too much of my social media, but a lot of it is about educating and being a bit more inclusive, so that people can understand, you know, that they should have a say in who represents them in council. And then that will allow them to then create a pathway to having a say about the services that are available, how things are set up for them, so that they are inclusive of their different needs. So yeah, it's all encompassing. I think, you know, a lot of people think that it's too hard, but it's not that hard. Other councils have been able to do it. Other areas have been able to get it done. So I think that we can too. I think it's actually just a matter of putting it as part of the plan, adding it to the plan, so that it's something that everyone can work on, and different community members feel that they've got an opportunity to have a say about how that could actually be addressed.
Perfect. Yeah, it looks like, Solange, you have a very well understanding of Dandenong and its people, and you've clearly gone and put the effort to identify the actual issues that people of Dandenong are facing, which was the antisocial behavior and all the other issues, the cultural issues. So these are the things that Dandenong, I've been living in Dandenong for the past 10 years, and I see these problems, and I'm really glad that you've pointed them out and you've got a concise plan for them to tackle those problems down, and that's absolutely brilliant. Taking into consideration that you've done your masters in business, so a lot of businesses in Dandenong would have a voice as well in the council if they vote for you. So people of Dandenong, I really hope that you guys are very, very thoughtful about your vote, and make sure you give it to the candidate who deserves and who actually thinks about you and would like to make the Dandenong a better place for us all, for all the cultures. At the end of this show, I would like to ask if anything we might not have covered that you would like to add on, Solange.
Yeah, one of the things that I didn't, I have to say, I've been letterboxing this morning, so I'm a little bit all over the place.
Right.
So what you said is actually really important. So businesses have been heavily impacted. I think leadership has been impacted. I don't envy anyone that's in a leadership position, whether it's political or business related, because the decisions that have been made this year have been hard. So one of the things that I definitely want to work on as well is definitely being inclusive of supporting these businesses to recover from the pandemic, and also just make sure that as a community we support each other to get people back into work. So, you know, we are limited. There are still people in Dandenong that don't have access to the internet, that don't have access to Zoom. What do you do without this? Like, I think when I hear these particular examples, to me, there's so many of us that take that for granted, but it's so important for people to feel less isolated and feel like they do have an opportunity to step out of what's happening at the moment. So all of those things are intertwined. I think it's access to jobs that is really important here. You know, we've done our market research, and a third of the city of Greater Dandenong is not in the job market, and that was before coronavirus. So imagine now. And so I think we do have to really work together. And like you said, I do plan to use my masters in business to support that. I'm all about the gig economy, and I'm all about startups. I absolutely love innovation. I love entrepreneurship. So that's what I would be supporting for all of Dandenong. And I know that we've started, but now I think it's an opportunity for change. Coronavirus hit everyone really hard, but it's an opportunity to shake things up. We don't have to work 9 to 5 anymore. And so I think that a lot of the businesses, you know, some have recovered really well and been able to adjust their business models, but a lot of other businesses might not know how, and I want to work with them. I want to get them across the line as well.
Perfect. That seems like a solid plan to me, and I really hope that people of Dandenong really give that a thought, especially business owners, because they've been impacted hugely, and we all know that. I hope that they get your message through and vote concise and very, very picky on who they vote for.
Yeah, one final question, if I need to ask you, like, suppose if you want to work with one of your competitors, who's going to be that person?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Sorry, I made it such.
To be honest, I'd really like to work with all of them. I think this is not an easy, it's not an easy job to try and run for politics at all, even at local level. And if they've put their hands up, I would like to hold them accountable, just as I would expect them to hold me accountable. And even if we don't get elected, that you commit to helping this community out, because it's people like this that are putting in that effort to represent that, you don't have to represent from a councillor position. To me, leadership can come from anywhere. And if you see a problem and you want to be a part of fixing it, you step up to that. So I would like to work with all of them is my answer.
Okay, I like that answer. That's very political answer, I should say. Very, very.
I didn't want to come off too political.
No. Okay.
Thanks for your time, Solange. And it's lovely to chat with you, and it was amazing to get to know about your future plan, about your past experience, and I hope people are gonna be more like wise about their word, about their smart about their voice, and smart about their word, so they pick the right person. And I wish you good luck. And that's it for our show today. And if anything you want to add, Naeem.
Thanks again, Solange, for coming and giving your time to speak with us to our podcast. That's brilliant. It was an honor to have you. Just a very short question at the end. Is Cleland Ward the only ward with 7 candidates?
No, there's a few with less, and there's one that's got, I didn't count, but it looked like more than 10. That's the Keysborough South, I think. Keysborough South, I think it is, yeah. Which is going to be really interesting. But again, I think, this isn't an easy task. So if they're going to run for it, I really hope that they stick to the goal. And even if they're not elected, that they continue to try to help the community. So, yeah.
Perfect.
Definitely, yeah.
Thanks again for your time. Thanks, Mehdi. We'll wrap it up here. So people of Dandenong, be really thoughtful about your vote, and I really hope that you choose the right candidate. Thanks again for watching us. Thanks again for sticking to us, to our show. And if you like it, please like, comment, and share the video with your friends so people are more considerate about their vote. Thanks again, Mehdi. Thanks again, Solange. It was lovely chatting.
Thank you.